the concept of adding fractions. We're going to kind of talk about it in two different categories. Adding same denominator and then adding different denominator. So when we're adding the same denominator, it's relatively simple. The most important concept is that you do not change the denominator. So let's say we have 3/4 plus 7/4. The first thing I recommend doing is just bringing your denominator right over. As we can see in this problem, the denominator is the same. For fractions, you don't add the denominators together. That is very important. You need to remember that it's just the same denominator on the other side of the equal sign. But now, we add the numerators. Essentially, the operation is being acted upon on the numerators when we're adding fractions. So we're going to take 3 plus 7, which is 10. Now, reducing fractions. That's another concept that we'll talk about later. So as of right now, you can just leave your fraction in this form. All right. So now we're going to talk about kind of a little bit of a lengthy subject about adding different denominators. Let's have 3/5 plus 2/3. Obviously, I don't have a denominator I can carry over as nicely as I was in the opposite problem. So now we're going to use our skill of cross multiplication in order to figure out what kind of denominator we're going to have and a couple other key concepts. So I'm going to erase our adding the same denominator side to write out the steps of what we'll be doing for our adding different denominators. First, I think it's really important to recognize that we have different denominators. I think that we all can agree that 5 does not equal 3. Therefore, our denominators are different. Second, we need to address what our lowest common multiple is. The lowest common multiple is a number that 5 and 3 are both factors of, but it's the smallest possible one. One really easy way to get close or to even get to your lowest common multiple is to multiply 5 and 3, which equals 15. I think we all can agree that 15 is the lowest common multiple of 5 and 3 since they're both prime numbers. Normally, if you have a composite number, it's going to be a lot harder, or it's going to take a couple more extra steps and maybe a little bit more of guess and check to find the lowest common multiple. But if you have two prime numbers, you can just add them together, and that's how you're going to find your lowest common multiple. Multiply them together, and that's how you'll find your lowest common multiple. All right, so now our third. Now that we've recognized that our lowest common multiple, that is going to be our new denominator. And what I mean by that is because 5 does not equal 3, as we've shown here. 5 does not equal 3. Therefore, we have to have a denominator that they both make up so that we can find something in common to add the numerators over a common denominator. So we got to use our cross multiplication skills now. So I'm going to write 3/5 equals x over 15. This is where cross multiplication is going to come in. How I set this up, why I found that I figured that this would be my algebraic expression to write, is because we have to make 3/5 into an equal, this sign right here, equal fraction that has 15 in the denominator. Again, I'm just going to repeat that because that's a really big concept. If you have any questions, feel free to ask anyone at your disposal because they'll be more than willing to help explain this. We set up our equation like this because we're looking for a fraction that is equivalent to 3/5 that has 15 in the denominator. So now we're going to use cross multiplication. And now I'm going to just go through our multiplication, kind of the basic arithmetic of all this. 3 times 15 is 45, equals 5x. Then multiply both sides by 1/5 to get rid of the 5 on the side, so that we'll just have x. 9 equals x. So for our first fraction over here, our new fraction is 9/15. A way to check to make sure your fraction actually is equivalent is to reduce this fraction, 9/15, into 3/5. All right, I'm going to do some erasing. I'll give you a few more seconds to write down any notes you want to take before I erase everything, not everything, some things, so that we can do the same thing with our other fraction. All right, I'm going to erase now. All right, so now we're going to work with our second fraction, which is 2/3. Again, we're going to set it up in the same fashion and have x over 15, because now we're looking for a fraction that's equivalent to 2/3 with 15 as the denominator. Now let's do some cross multiplication. Two times 15 is 30, equals 3x. Multiply both sides by 1/3 to get rid of the 3 next to the x. 10 equals x. So now our second new fraction is 10/15. Now look, now it's like the first equation, first algebraic expression we did that involved adding fractions. We now know our denominator is 15, and we're going to add across the top and get 19/15. That is our answer. I know this is a lengthy video with a lot of concepts involved, but if you really practice and dig down, I feel confident you can do it. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask out for help. Your teacher and tutor are some great resources. And I hope you have the best day and good luck studying your math.